Welcome to the Strategy Mastermind video series. I'm Ute Lambrecht and I'm the founder and CEO at the Mastermind Hub. When I started my business, I had a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm and I got a lot done in a short time. But very soon I noticed that running a business requires me to do a lot of things, and quite frankly, not all of them are fun. And in addition, I have a corporate background where we work in teams, and teams very naturally support each other in staying on track. And that whole support system fell away for me. So I had to learn to self-motivate myself. And I still struggle sometimes. And my worst procrastinator is Facebook and social media. I stay far too long on those. And so I know I'm not alone in this, and today I invited three wonderful guests to join me, and they are all solo entrepreneurs. And we'll discuss this month's topic, which is, how do you stay focused when working on your own? So with me today, I have Sigrun Gudjonsdottir. She is a lifestyle entrepreneur, online business strategist, international speaker and business mentor at Sigrun.com. Hi, Sigrun.
Hi, happy to be here.
Thanks. Elena Lipson is the Divine Self-Care Mentor and founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle Mastermind. Hi, Elena.
Hello, so glad to be here.
Great. And Bushra Azhar is the founder and chief troublemaker at the Persuasion Revolution. Hi, Bushra.
Hey, the only troublemaker. It is just a fancy way of saying I'm the only troublemaker. Anybody else? So happy to be here with you guys.
Super. So I want to start this discussion and ask each one of you, how do you lose focus? So let's start with Elena.
Well, losing focus is really easy.
Yes. How does it show up for you?
It shows up in multiple ways, so much so that I created a webinar series called From Distraction to Inspired Action, because there's so many things that distract us. And I've really come to have this sort of relationship with distraction and understanding why it happens. My background is in industrial psychology, organizational psychology. So I'm always asking like, I wonder why that's happening. So, for me, it's been a journey of recognizing my own behaviors of, oh, wow, I wonder why I can't seem to focus right now. What do I need right now? So for me, it shows up as similar for you, social media, which is, I think, a very easy one for many people, because you sort of feel like you're still a little bit busy and you're connecting and you can justify it a little bit. Like, I'm connecting with all these people. Maybe someone will magically turn into my client, which, once in a while it does happen where you really connect. And especially if we're social and we spend a lot of time in our private offices, we want to be connecting. So it shows up definitely as social media. It shows up as procrastination. Which I've learned the whole terminology of upper limits, right? So, why am I procrastinating? Okay, what am I avoiding, really? So it starts me in a good conversation. I tend to honor whatever's showing up. Not that I stay in it forever, but I do think we have this ability to follow the shiny object a little bit in our days. So for me, the reason why I teach self-care is, and I'll share a little bit more later, I won't get into it right now, but it's really helped me to manage my day, manage my energy, manage my process, and then honor that. And the more I do that, it feels really good. So I tend to want to do that more. So yeah, it shows up as definitely procrastination, distraction, and social media. Oh, look, there's a bird outside. I'm going to go follow it. So in many, many ways, I think we all have our own method of distraction. So, but I'm similar, that I come from a corporate background where you show up, there's your office, there's your boss, there's your team, you know what's expected. And it's so different when you're at home alone. You really have to be the creator of your day, the creator of your structure. And I make my to-do list, not somebody else. So there's a lot of sort of internal processing that has to happen. And it shows up all your stuff, right? Your mindset, your limitations, where you need support, what you need to ask for. So we can talk about this for hours, I'm sure. But I think similar to you, that's kind of how it shows up for me.
Thanks, Elena. Sigrun, how does it
you? Yeah, I love Facebook. So I could just spend there. And I remember there was a time, before my business really took off, I would just realize I would spend 8 hours on Facebook,
Yeah.
And maybe it was good. Maybe it came back at some point, but a lot of it is just procrastination. But it does show up for me, and I actually just wrote a email about it recently. Perfectionism is to add something else than Elena just said, because I can identify with everything she said, limiting beliefs and but the perfectionism, that I have a lot of stuff ready to ship and I don't ship it for some reason, and it's really, it comes sometimes I get so frustrated with it that I just like, okay, now I give myself 2 hours, or you've got 2 days and you have to ship. And that's how I've been able to do my website or do I just kind of put a limit. But there has been a phase of just like, oh no, it's not ready, and I can't put it out. And actually I just redid my website 10 days ago myself, without a designer, in 2 hours on a Saturday evening, and I did it live, so I didn't even have an option of not finishing it. So I deal with it like kind of, I just put myself up for the challenge that it's going to happen.
Super.
But I have also created little free challenges because of this. So to solve my own problem, I've had a challenge like Stay on Track. So I had a 3-week challenge Facebook group where people just had a task, like 3 things you're allowed to focus on today and get done, and everybody had to report back. I mainly did it for myself.
Super, thanks Sigrun. And Bushra, how does this
Okay, so
losing focus? Is it a problem?
I think I have a different approach to this, probably a different flavor to add to this conversation, because for me, I like when I get distracted, I like to move with my distractions. I don't try to pull myself back. So I can understand a little bit what Elena was saying, but obviously I can't put it in those kind of, shall I say it?
Yeah.
The W word. I can't put it in the woo-woo terms that she just did. But the way I see this, I see my brain as a stray dog. And I know it's not a great example, but it likes to wander. It likes to wander, and it takes me to good places. Most of the times, it takes me to good places. So I like to follow it. The only problem with this is that sometimes it lands me in places that I never intended to go to, which, then there's this conundrum as to, should I do this or should I not do this? But in principle, I like to let my brain wander, and it has taken me to some really good places. I have changed 12 professions. I've been in the corporate sector, but so I started off as an accountant. No, I actually was a pre-med student, so I was supposed to be a doctor. So I went from a pre-med student to an accountant, to a banker, to an academic, to a consultant, to an online entrepreneur. And all of this would not have happened if I had pulled my brain back. So I let it wander. The only thing that probably is problematic is, again, tying it in with the corporate sector. When you work in the corporate sector, yes, there's the idea of teams, but there's also the idea of having minions who do your shitty work.
Yes.
And there are no minions. There are no minions in our, our own businesses. I am the minion and I'm the boss. So I'm still doing consulting work, and I go and I tell them, this is how I introduce my team. These are my minions. They do the work that I don't want to do. But that's the reality. So in your own business, when you are running everything, and I don't outsource any single task. I do everything on my own, from the website to the copy to every single thing. There is no one there to do the shitty work. You have to do everything. And those are the areas I have seen, the areas that I'm used to outsourcing in my corporate work. Those are the areas where I procrastinate the most, because I've not developed the habit to actually do the menial tasks, as I call it. We're not used to do the menial. We're not used to do copy, proofreading. We don't do proofreading. And that's why my content is riddled with typos. because I don't check my writing. You know, I have people who do that for me. So I think, you know, that's where the problem really lies, in the fact that when you move from a certain structure where you're not, you can pick the tasks that you do because you are in a position of authority, and then you move in a position where you're doing everything yourself because you want to keep everything under control. The problem is that whenever there's a task which in your head is menial, you would want to, you know, you will definitely procrastinate. Oh, something happened. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Yes, absolutely, Bushra. And I also like your, you know, the pivot of actually, you know, going with the distraction and seeing where it takes you. You know, I think that's actually also very valuable as an entrepreneur, to be able to do that, to look at things from a different perspective. So that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So let's go around and just sort of tell me, how do you resolve this issue? So I'll start with Sigrun first.
Yeah, so it's funny. I can identify with Bushra because I have actually 4 master's degrees in different subjects. Because obviously my mind doesn't want to do one thing. But anyway, I come from Iceland. So, and if you have read the book Outliers, you might recognize this, that over generations, people from a certain area or country might be stuck in some habits or behaviors. And I can totally identify with that actually Icelanders are fishermen originally, not so much anymore, but it means that when there's fish, you fish. And when there's no fish, you just don't fish, basically. So I like to work in this mode. So I would just then work really hard. I have no problem working until 4 a.m. and then, you know, waking up early in the morning to continue whatever I was doing. And then I have time where I kind of just can't seem to get started on anything. And I have come to accept this, like you say, with the wandering mind, Bushra. It's like, this is me. This is part of my heritage. And why should I fight it? I just love to have these cycles. So after I had like a period of working like crazy for 3 months, and I noticed then I came month 4th and I just couldn't, you know, I just had to do the work that I had piled up. But I couldn't do like marketing I was doing before, or I just had to kind of take my time. And yes, of course, affected my revenue, but I come to accept that this is a normal part of being a solopreneur.
And maybe also being you, because it seems like you are a sprinter compared to a marathon runner, right?
Yeah, I think I feel that. Yeah. I get ideas and I just have to execute them. And there's a long-term strategy, but I like, and I think of it, I'm fishing, you know, and then I'm not fishing.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Elena.
Yeah, I love, Sigrun, what you just said about that, really getting to know what your cycle is and then claiming that and owning it. And that's really where I start with people too. We look at the entire year, month, week, day, you know, we break it down to like, how do you like to work? How do you like to show up? So for me, it's a matter of recognizing my own energy, which is really similar. I go really fast and I need to do nothing. I go really fast, I need to do nothing. And that could be, you know, throughout one day, or it could be throughout the week. But I feel like as an entrepreneur, I also have other roles I play. I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I'm a friend and I'm a daughter, you know. So for me, when I was working in the corporate world in my 20s, I was working all day long and I would come home and I was also starting my coaching business. So my day was very different, very fluid. I could stay up late, wake up early to go to networking meetings at 6 a.m, you know, have clients at lunch. I mean, it was a very full day, and then I would collapse at some point, which was not a healthy rhythm for me. And now really where it came to a head was that when I became a mom, and there is this external need of another person. So I can't any longer, you know, work the way that maybe I would in an unhealthy rhythm, because there is this requirement of me in the morning. I have to do this and I have to do that. So, you know, now I think the key for me is really to recognize my rhythm, but also be okay with doing it my way. Like trusting my own journey, my own pace. This is a time in my life where I have a small child. I want to be there. I want to witness it. It's as important to me as birthing my course. I want to, be there for my child. So I think in the beginning, if you really take time to clarify what is my pace, what is my energy, what do I need to do, where do I need to get support to make that happen. So it's really honoring your own self and not looking at others who are like, if I was comparing myself to a woman who is running some international company and traveling 4 times a year and, with no kids, like, that's not my life, but it's also not, it shouldn't be a limiting belief, right? Because there are women who are modeling another way. I want to be part of that modeling, that you can succeed big and you can still play and you can still have self-care and you don't have to be sick and you can, run a business that grows. So for me, it means having parts of my business that make money when I'm sleeping and parts of my business that make money when I'm awake. And, I want to run it the way I want to run it. So I think finding that sweet spot for yourself, honoring where you are, honoring your energy and your cycles. Like that 4th month, Sigrun, if you don't want to do anything, if I was your coach, I'd be like, great, what are you going to do that honors that? Let's focus on, retreat or writing or nothing or baths or, what is it? Let's feed that part of you too, so that you can show up back to going full speed and fishing, because all the fish are in the ocean. So really trusting that own pace that you have and honoring your life circumstances too.
Super. Thanks, Elena. Yeah. Bushra, how do you resolve?
Okay, so for me, because again, it's very new for me. I've only been in business for a year now. Mm-hmm. And so far I've been constantly running, and Elena knows that. And we talked about this, and I asked her, why are you the way you are? She was like, yes. And she said, the same reason why you are the way you are, which makes sense. She spends time on, actually what she just talked about, kind of doing an inventory. I have not had the time to sit down and do an inventory so far. And I have been sprinting ever since I started. And I think that's a choice that I've made. I right now, I'm not that point in my life where I am going to choose my rhythms. Mm-hmm. I want to prove to myself and to a lot of people that I can do this. And so I have been sprinting. I have not had, I don't know whether you know this, but ever since I launched my first program in October, I have been launching a new thing almost every month, which is, I absolutely love it. I love the stress. I love the energy. I love the challenge, but I know that it's not sustainable. And I know that at some point I will have to sit back and do an inventory, just as Elena talked about, when I need to decide whether, what aspects of this whole system is what I want to do continuously and which aspects do I want to just let go of because I don't need to prove anything to anyone. At this point, I'm not ready to do that. So if anyone is looking to get a lot of shit done in very little time, I have lots of techniques to make it happen because I'm sprinting. I'm continuously sprinting ever since the day I launched. I have not had, because again, I don't know again whether you know this, but when I launched, I didn't tell anyone that I am launching a business because I've done too many things in the past and I don't want, and I know they look at me as like, another one of Bushra's stupid ideas. So I didn't tell anyone, not my husband. No one knew that I'm starting a business. No one in the entire universe. So Bluehost knew because I registered the website. Bluehost knew. So I didn't tell anyone, and that's why I had to do something very, very quickly, and that momentum has continued. And the one thing that has, because I have very, very limited time, this is my side gig. I also do corporate consulting, and I have 2 children, so I have to kind of give, I don't want them to think that I've disappeared, from their lives just because I started something. So what I've done is that I literally have my entire day segmented, like my calendar is blocked. And I know it sounds really freaky, but literally my calendar is blocked. This is the cuddle time. This is the Facebook time. This is the research time. And if anything happens within that time, I don't even take client calls. And my corporate clients, they are used to, having me, a phone call away, but I really have put a stop to this. I just send them a message, busy, call you later, because that time really is sacred. So this is what has worked for me. I use something that I'm sure a lot of people already know, but it's amazing for me. It's called the Pomodoro technique. Mm-hmm. And I swear by it. Everything that I do, I break it up into Pomodoros. If I can't cook a meal in one Pomodoro, which is 25 minutes, that meal is not happening because it has to be finished in 25 minutes, or you can go get it from outside because mama is not cooking that. So literally everything that I do is broken up into 25-minute segments, and everything, I live and die by my calendar. Everything is blocked by my calendar, my lunch dates, my breakfast dates. And I know it sounds freaky, but that's the only thing. Obviously it's not sustainable. Obviously it's not going to continue like this, but as for now, this is how I make it work. And it's fine, you know. I also have time slots for massage, and I also have time slots for thank you. So I'm doing a little bit of this lady's magic, but obviously
this woo-woo stuff, yes.
The woo-woo stuff, yes. I'm doing a little bit, but the extent of my woo-woo starts and ends with a massage. So yeah. I think I mean you really tackled something here where you are actually really self-disciplined, Bushra. I've never seen someone so self-disciplined. Really, you know, the fact that you actually put it all into a calendar and just stick with it and not get distracted. Yeah, everything other than the workout. So something's got to give. Everything. So I have a slot that's 30 minutes of workout, and those 30 minutes, I swear to God, they're hanging on my head. And I don't do it. So self-discipline and everything except for those 30 minutes of workout. So yeah.
Oh, thanks very much. So I just want to end this by asking you if you have very specific tips. For instance, when I start the day, I always do yoga first. I don't even look at even this morning, it's 6 a.m. for me. I got up at 5 and I did yoga first because I need to stabilize myself and really ground myself. And I don't look at emails until after I had breakfast. So taking care of me first has been the most important thing for me. And then I can get into my day. So that's one tip I've really noticed helped me to ground. So let's go the other way around. Bushra, well, maybe I'll get Elena first and then I'll come to you. Otherwise you have to talk so much at once.
Oh, that's what I do all the time. Talking is the only thing I can do. So don't worry about it. But I really want to hear what Elena has to say.
Yeah,
Elena. Thank you. You actually... What you were saying about your morning, starting the morning, that's actually probably my biggest encouragement for the women that I teach in my mastermind group and my one-on-one clients. If you can create a container for your day that fits in what you value and the time that you want to spend. So even like Bushra, you know, a few little tweaks of adding like nothing time to your calendar would be magical for you, right? Add a little woo sprinkles to you over there. I'm the same way. I live and die by my calendar because if someone at my son's school asks me, do you want to do this or do that? I say, yep, I don't have my calendar. I can't book it. You know, I used to. And now I think two things if I can say. The calendar Bushra already mentioned. So the first thing is, if you can create that container for your day, how do I want to start my day? And this I've taken years to develop my rhythm of morning, and it changes with the seasons too. But I do something that wakes up my body. So it should be dancing or running or yoga or something for my mind. I do morning pages from Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, but I've adjusted it to the way I want to do it. And I encourage my clients to do it. And that one thing has changed people's days like crazy because they start with an intention. Today, I want to be present for conversations. I want to create one sales page. Like they know the one thing they want to do today. And then something for my spirit. So I will meditate or I'll go outside and just be quiet for a while, drink my coffee. So something that addresses my mind, body, spirit every single morning, no matter where I am. If I'm traveling, it could be 10 minutes long or it could be 90 minutes long, depending. Like I give myself that flexibility, but it always happens. So for me, it's about keeping promises to yourself. If you can do that every day, you can keep your promises on the bigger things too. It really does affect the rest of your work. So that's one thing. And the second thing is when you do have that intention and you have that clarity, your yeses are very clear and your no's are very clear, right? Because as women, we say yes to so many things. And I know I can talk about this, you know, a lot and you can read about it, people blog about it, but really if you can get clear on saying yes to things that really light you up. So I just had an interview with someone yesterday, and we had this epiphany together. We're like, you know, when you have that yes in your body and it feels so good, remind yourself, this is what a yes feels like. So I'm going to remember this next time when someone asks me something. If it doesn't feel like this, I'm not doing it. So those are two things I think could really help people to eliminate distraction. If you're on Facebook and you're like, well, how is this going to help my work? It's not. Okay, let's figure out something else. Let's go to my calendar or my to-do list. So those are the two things that can really, on a daily basis, incrementally change the direction and the focus of what you're doing every day.
Super. Thanks, Elena. Bushra.
So, yeah, the calendar. And one more thing, which is, again, you know, as you can see, my advice is more tactical. It's not maybe as, you know, strategic, but it's very, very specific. It's more of a hack, you know, that works for me. So a hack that I want to share with you is when I block time in my calendar that has to do with my business, I don't block it by tasks. I block it by themes. And that has worked tremendously for me. And I get asked this question so many times, you know, how do you generate so much content? Obviously, I like to talk a lot. So that means I have lots of words inside of me, so they come out in one way or the other. But other than that, I think the reason that I'm able to generate so much content and get so much done is because my timing is divided by themes, not by, you know, tasks. So it's
Could
not
you
like—
explain that a little bit?
Yeah,
the themes?
yeah. So for example, if I'm doing, I won't say I will do 30 minutes, I will write a blog post. That's a task. What I do is 30 minutes, I will write, which means that in those 30 minutes, I will outline, research, and sketch out maybe 10 different blog posts. So I allow myself the freedom to move from one task to the other as long as it's under the same theme. And when you're sitting in that mode, when you're in the flow for that mode, the best thing to do is to get as much done as possible. So I have never sat down and written one blog post. Never. I sit down and I research and outline and sketch out 8 to 10 blog posts at the same time. And because you're in the flow, because when you're, for example, when you're researching a certain thing, it happens to us a lot of the times. When we research a certain topic, we will find 3-4 different blog ideas from the same research. Why ignore it? Bring it back in. You know, you went researching with one blog post idea, you got 3 more blog post ideas, bring them back in and start outlining them as well. So so the whole the whole idea is, if I'm doing, for example, I don't know, webinar topics, or for example, if I'm doing, a social media posts, I don't just write a social media post and I post it. I sit down and I write down 20 social media posts that I plan to share over the next, say, a week or so, because they're all under the same theme. It's all about engagement, getting people to interact with you, getting people to know you, build your brand. It's by theme. It's not by task. If I were to do it by task, okay, 5 minutes I'm going to spend on Facebook and update my status in all these different groups, I will be lost. And what I will end up doing is I will be probably, which is big pet peeve for me, where people take one status update and they post it to 20 freaking groups. It kills me because they're looking at it as a task. They create a social media post and they post it in all those different places. Look at it as a theme. You're going to sit down, craft social media posts. You have 20, you can choose whichever you want to post and then rotate. So, that's my biggest, more tactical tip for getting more done.
Fantastic, Bushra. I think that's a big aha for me. Really great. Thanks.
Glad it helps.
Sigrun, any tips you would like to leave us with?
So I'm a calendar person too, like everybody who gets something done. But I work with clients and this is my full-time job. So I was first just booking them in anytime they wanted. I realized actually, no, it's my business. So they can get time with me when I want. So I have special days that are client days and I fill them up. And I really take the, one after the other, which is actually helpful because you get an idea from one client to the next one and it's not going to harm them. They're not going to get less coaching because, I don't leave I leave like 3 minutes between and then I just go to the next one. And it works great for me and works great for the clients. And I think that's a good tip to kind of put themes or tasks together in your week and not get distracted and say, oh, there's one client there, one client there. And, I have my webinars always on the same day, and my client, my subscribers get to know it. I maybe move it if I'm traveling, but I try to pick it on one day. Then I also used to allow people to book discovery sessions all over. No, one day. And and Fridays now are absolutely free. There's no outside meetings. It's for me because I feel if I am doing certain things, I need more time. So instead of just having an hour or half an hour, I feel I need more time to create some stuff. So the Fridays or I take it the day off.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. This was a wonderful conversation today. And if you're in the mastermind, you know what I'm talking about. This is what it's all about. And if you're not, I would highly suggest you start getting yourself into a mastermind situation, and you use this format as a way to get started. So thanks very much for coming and visiting with me and having such a wonderful discussion. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.